Welcome to Scarlino in beautiful Tuscany. We're back for day 3 of the Royal Cup 52 Super Series here in Scarlino in Tuscany, and we're passing the midpoint of the regatta today. Incredibly tight at the top, of course, just tie-break situation between regatta leaders Sled and Quantum Racing. Sled just on top by virtue of the tie-break. They're both on the same number of points. Let's look back at yesterday with our highlights video before we come live onto the water here on the Gulf of Follonica. And this is the recap from yesterday. Well, a second day of racing here planned in Scarlino in beautiful Tuscany. Been a little bit of a delay to start with, waiting for the breeze to build up. We're seeing round about 12 to 15 knots probably on the racetrack. It's a very dynamic, very challenging race course area. Lots of different weather situations going on. It's all going to be about heads out of the boat and watching to see what happens. So new questions, new challenges every day on the Super Series. And the breeze just east of south, the seas building through the day, 18-19 knots at the start of the first race, and the breeze up to 20 at times. Off the start line, well, it's the left side which paid in both races. Sled and Allegra starting nicely off the pin end of the line, and at the top mark, first time up, it's Sled leading from Allegra with Prevezza in third. Prevezza get through on the run and go through the leeward gate with the lead, but it's Allegra coming through to win the first race of the day, race 3 of the series.
Well, the whole way around the racetrack, really. Keeping in phase, keeping in the pressure, and just fighting the whole way around. It was a tough day.
Yeah, I'm really lucky, obviously, stepping into an experienced team, and Nick trained them well beforehand. I'm very quiet on the boat, and Nick's really good at just kind of leading the team, so I think we work well together in that respect.
I think I'm probably the bad cop.
I think the whole week going to be tricky, so it's going to be a really fun week. It's going to be very open to the end.
So great conditions for the second race, 20-21 knots on the start line, and nice big sea building. Phoenix and Interlodge start off the pin end of the line, best starts, and get away up the left side, the favoured left side. And at the top mark it's Phoenix leading from Interlodge, and Phoenix extend over 200 metres ahead down the first run, and that's the order all the way around the course. Phoenix winning, Interlodge second, and Allegra getting through in third.
Today and yesterday, 2 hard days, not easy to predict where to go, but it's a lot easier for me because I have Murray.
I don't think he's got any bad features really, yeah. I mean, generally he's pretty calm on the boat, you know, can get excited at times.
The best feature is experience. He knows the game very well and he's super tranquilo. Worst feature that he's getting too old.
So the top of the table, Sled on the 13 points on countback is the only reason they're leading. Quantum Racing in second, also on 13. Allegra in third on 14 points, and Phoenix in fourth on 15 points. 2 good races here in Scarlino, good breezes, good challenges for all the teams. 4 different race winners so far, 2 more today, and Sled at the top of the table, but only just. And so that was yesterday, a good day, 2 good races, very challenging conditions on a racetrack which is really testing out to the afterguards, and most of the afterguards enjoying the challenge. But no real difference between the top 3 or 4 boats really in terms of points. Sled and Quantum Racing both in 13. Allegra, best boat of the day yesterday, a third and a first, in 14 points. And then Phoenix, 7th and a first yesterday. They were over the line the first race and they recovered to 7th, so they're in 15 points. They're only 2 points behind the pair which are leading the regatta, and we have 30 seconds or so left to the start of race number 5 of the 10 race series. Quantum nicely positioned at the committee boat end of the line. Allegra just looking like they may be closed out there. Quantum holding their position and keeping the door closed on Allegra. Bow goes down on Phoenix. Speed build in the last final few seconds and a clear start there. Quantum starting nicely at the committee boat end of the line. Allegra top boat yesterday. Probably worst off the line. Provezza not good either, as Interlodge also our second row. Value start nicely towards the pit end of the line. The regatta leader Sled confident in the middle of the pack there, in the middle of the line. Provezza having to take sterns to get out to the right to find a lane. Not the best start for Phoenix. Just lured and underneath the Quantum. Quantum sailing a nice high mode just now, just giving gas to Interlodge. Interlodge will not be able to live in there for very long. Platoon still working on their starts. That's what was the feedback that we had from Vasco this morning. Just the final few centimetres here and there on the start line are making the difference, but they're quite reasonably placed. They have Sled just to windward though. That'll be the key thing for them if they can pull forward and start to affect Sled, then that could work well for them. But in the meantime, it's a pretty reasonable start considering how they've started in the first couple of days. So the windward leg is 2.1 miles. The wind axis is 190. So this time just west of south. It was round about 175 earlier on in the morning, and we had 20 to 22 knots of wind on the start line. So Provezza then having to push out to this right side to try and find something. Historically, yesterday in this breeze, the left was consistently best, and that's certainly the way that the top 4 boats on our race leaderboard are heading at the moment. Value, Platoon, Sled, Quantum very much to windward of the group. Allegra, unfortunately, then not getting the start they wanted, being closed out, held up by Doug DeVos and team on the Quantum Racing at the committee boat end of the line. Meantime, Interlodge and Provezza really struggling out on that right side. And Bruno Zerilli then, the navigator on Gladiator, one of the most local sailors we have in the fleet, just lives a couple of hours away, sailed here a lot. He was just confirming the strength of the left to us this morning. Unfortunately, Gladiator not getting their best start, but they're very much in the mix. They're in 5th. And Phoenix have some work to do. They say they're 4th overall just now. So still pretty breezy, pretty bumpy. We're talking about big waves coming in. Wind speed 20 knots. Gusts have been registered at 27. So September in Tuscany delivering good breezes for the 52 Super Series for this Royal Cup. A standalone trophy that dates back to 1996 and the heady days of the IMS 50 class. First won by the IMS 50 Brava Q8. And we've got 3 sailors in the fleet here who sailed on that boat and won the trophy in the inaugural year. In fact, to be honest, 2 of them are coaches. Francesco De Angelis was the skipper of that team at the time, and he is coaching Allegra. And Rod Davis, who sailed with the Italians a lot then, he is a coach to the Sled team. And Lorenzo Massa, who's on Phoenix, the trimmer on Phoenix. I think he's our only sailor who was on that programme, who's racing here at the time, who was racing at the time and who's still sailing. So Phoenix tacking out to the right, just clearing their lines of Quantum. Gladiator and Platoon converging just now. Platoon just ducking slightly to get behind Platoon. So Platoon then very much early days for this new partnership at the back of the boat. See Vasco joining the programme here, but also have Jordi Calafat, who's been with the team since moving from Quantum Racing, and Jules Salter as a navigator. So it's a very, very strong afterguard, just finding the subtleties of their communication. And one of the key points really is getting off the start line, when it's about the subtleties of the communication, the strength, and how much the strategist and the navigator want to be positioned on the line in particular places. Anyway, Platoon in fifth just now. Had two particular problems yesterday. They lost the jib strop when they worked their way up to fourth after a bad start, and also had a penalty at the windward mark in the second race. So it is the teams which are top of the leaderboard just now, Sled and Quantum, in first and second. Sled with the stronger position furthest to the left. Value then back up in the mix. Didn't have the best of starts, but there they are in third place, ahead of Gladiator and Phoenix. Value working this left side, as they did a few times in this regatta. They won race one here in Scarlino, their first race win since they joined the circuit. And Manu Weiler is a tactician. Sailed with him last year in Menorca, I think. So good work from Phoenix then, getting up to third. They were fifth or sixth when they cleared their lines, came out to the right. Tony Norris is driving once again. And Sled just tacking to try and press Phoenix back out to the right. Protect their lead, which they do. So Phoenix tacking back to the right. Gladiator holding in there quite nicely in fourth. Once again, this is such a dynamic race course, things changing all the time. Bruno explaining to me earlier that you say that the left is generally very strong, but then you have bands of pressure coming in on the right, particularly at the top of the race course. And so it's certainly not a one-way track, one-sided track at all. So very evenly balanced between Quantum Racing and Gladiator. Gladiator Paul Goodison, Olympic champion tactician on the Gladiator, holding them out on that left side. Very even with Quantum. Quantum coming in, or starting to think about owning the starboard tack, ley line perhaps. And Vayu then, moments ago we were just talking about them being up in second. You just see how they've dropped through the fleet. Forced out to the right now, or in the middle of the fleet, middle right. But Sled, that partnership of Murray Jones and Francesco Bruni, working well. Nice recovery from Provezza. Similarly, good positioning just now from Phoenix, just staying patient. Trying to stay out of the traffic as much as possible. Platoon just crossing in front, or forcing Phoenix to tack. Starboard tag advantage. So place is changing all the time as we begin towards the final approach to the top mark. One place has changed, which has really not changed since the almost since the start line has been led since the first couple of minutes of this upwind. So a little right-hander clearly coming through, a little shift for Quantum, choosing not to go further on that right side. Look at the high angle they're sailing at. Getting across Platoon, may even get Sled at this rate. So good call from Lucas Calabrese and Terry Hutchison. That right-hander working for them. And Quantum tacking in front of Sled. Sled going from a 60 or 70 metre lead to a 75 metre deficit on the strength of that one shift.
To Brian, WhatsApp audio.
Provezza, what a recovery. They were slow off the line, 7th or 8th in the early part of the upwind. Could be getting round in 3rd. So balance swings in Quantum Racing's favour. So Platoon get round in third. A little bit of a gap back to Vayu and Provetsa, Interlodge. Master the top third of the beat quite well to come round just behind Provetsa. There, unfortunately, once again, we see a Gladiator fourth, third at one stage in the beat, and the top third, between the top half, top third of the beat, just losing out and losing a few places. So tough for Tony Langley and the team, but Quantum Racing taking this race lead and extending it, coming down the first run. Top three then, a little bit of a gap back to Vayu and Provetsa. Provetsa trying to ride up over Vayu. Little bit of a one-way track then down this run by the looks of things. Breeze in the right phase. Interlodge and Gladiator are looking for something. Just having some nice compliments about our video of the day from Marie-Claude Rouillon, I think, in France somewhere. Saying great racing, well done. It's a special kudos to our video team from Chimbovision. Quantum Racing opening out very slightly on sled. Platoon about 130 metres behind sled, not making too much of an impression. platoon being the Vrolic design, as is Preveza. Not really their strong points, according to the Preveza and platoon sailors, this stronger downwind conditions. However, third and fourth in this fleet just now is not bad at all. So Quantum coming into the leeward mark ley line, should jibe very shortly. Actually, Sled have pulled into them very slightly. That will be something to do with the closing angles as we get down towards this jibe. So 2 platoon will jibe very shortly. Interested in just looking at the history of the IMS 50 class, which is where the Royal Cup emanates from, where it was first presented. And looking at the 2001 World Championship, just for interest's sake, Warwick Fleury was in the winning boat then. Warwick normally sails on the Quantum Racing and is unfortunately absent just now with a health problem, so we hope he's getting better. But he was on board Brava Q8 when they were dominating the IMS 50 class, as was Simon Dobney and Murray Jones. And Murray, as we saw, is the tactician strategist on Sled, working with Francesco Bruni. So Sled kind of in touch with Quantum. No room for mistakes on these manoeuvres. In this breeze, I say we have 20, 21, 22 knots at mean wind speed. Gusts up to 27 is what we'd seen. Certainly looking like looks like the right hand mark looking upwind is favoured, but Quantum going round first. So pretty much everybody going round that right-hand mark, looking upwind. Quantum, Sled, Platoon, Vayu, Preveza. Gladiator, I think, possibly the only boat or Interlodge and Gladiator going round the left-hand mark. So in Allegra, then after that red letter day yesterday, first and a third. Just in sixth just now. So to Phoenix, seventh and a first. Seventh again just now. Yesterday their problem was that start of the first race. Did manage to recover to seventh, but this time they started reasonably well and actually were up to second or third in the latter stages of the first upwind. So Sled appear to have closed up a little bit to Quantum, although Quantum have quite a lot of leverage out to their right. And the breeze has been in the right phase, as we've seen generally. And that's what Terry Hutchison and the Quantum Afterguard are protecting just now. So interesting. Talking about the breeze being right-handed. We're watching Platoon then. Platoon kind of split from the group, went out to the right, further right than Quantum. Which is a little bit of a high-risk move considering the boats to the left, the Value and Prevezza. But we'll see how that plays out. Could work out for them, but it's always that risk-reward equation in this game at this level. Whether Platoon should stick with what looked like to be a pretty solid third. Which have currently ceded to Value and Prevezza. I wonder whether the breeze will come back from the left. So we did see there's a little bit of a repeat. Potentially, a little bit of a repeat of what happened on the first day, I think it was, with, first day, second race, when Sled got through Quantum on the beat. Just got a 5 degree lefty getting up to the top mark, and that got them through quantum. But just now, I think it's closer than the tracker shows. Yeah, so a change of course has been signalled by the race committee. Top mark is now at 2:05. We started at 1:90. So on that basis, the breeze does seem to be staying in the right. You would think that Platoon would hold third at the top mark. Very difficult to see value in Provetsa getting back from that left side without some kind of shift. Yeah, clearer idea now is sled tack and converge with quantum. Yeah, you see now as they converge, that delta becomes more realistic, and correspondingly, you will see the same thing happen with Platoon. So it's about 100 meters as sled crossed the wake of quantum. So that right-hander working for Platoon just now. We just saw their track. So on the second beat of race 5, Quantum have this lead of 100 or so meters. Platoon converging back with the boats on that left side, and as we said, their third position returning as we expected. Certainly Platoon have been in the lift. Our sled have been headed off to the right. I'm pretty sure when we get out towards the starboard tack ley line, as sled tack, they should still cross Platoon. So the top two teams on the leaderboard for the Royal Cup. First and second, Platoon potentially heading for their best result of this regatta so far. So far they've gone 4-7-8-7. Remember they finished 6th in Portals, a venue which has always been quite good for Harm Muller Spreer's team. And actually therein lies the rub in some respects. If you consider that if Platoon hold on to third, that would be their best result since race 4 in Puerto Portals when they won. And that first place in Puerto Portals, they didn't have any other results better than 4th. And potentially it's not over between Platoon and Sled, nor indeed perhaps this top three, but we are approaching the windward mark for the second time round. Just Quantum and Sled getting towards the starboard tackle line. Platoon pretty much nicely in control of the group behind. Next place boat is Vayu quite far to the left. So for sure closer between Sled and Platoon, but Sled in the end with the power of the right on starboard tack, requiring Platoon to tack inside them. But really not much between them. It's going to be all on down this second run. So Quantum leading round the windward mark, second time up. He's had a couple of little crew changes enforced on them, with Chris Hosking in on the mainsail and Curtis Blewett coming in for Rodney Ardern. Sled round with the Platoon pushing hard on their stern. So really quite a big gap then between Platoon and Vayu. Mind you, all credit to Vayu in fourth. Couple of place gains to Allegra and also Phoenix. Brevets were fifth at the top mark first time up, they're now seventh. Remember Phoenix and Allegra close on the leaderboard too. Allegra on 14 points, Phoenix on 15. That would be the positions after the finish. If positions stayed the same, that would be the points table. Quantum would be a point clear, and then 4 points opening up between Sled and Allegra. Phoenix 22, 8 points behind. Remember how they won in Puerto Portals comfortably in the end. So difficult times really for Phoenix then. Looking at the overall standings, this is for the Super Series 2022. They're tied on points going into this race. And 8 points delta. However, more of an open run this time. Certainly a little bit of split between Sled and Platoon. Ron Brazil adding a big cheer for Quantum. Big Quantum fan watching the team leading this race and open out a small margin at the top of the Royal Cup standings. Quantum, of course, the team which won the first time we came here in 2016. The battle of the trimmers as much as anything coming down this run, certainly between sled and platoon. Trimmers on the platoon include Roscoe Halcrow and Javier de la Plaza. Dirk de Ridder on the main. And the present champions, the team which won the 2021 title, have Christian Camp, downwind trimmer, Don Cowie on the main sheet, and Robbie Naismith, the upwind trimmer. Certainly a platoon doing all they can to close with the sled. Trying to get down inside them. Just a few metres between them. Remember, we have 23 knots of breeze. And big waves, so great conditions. So sled closing very slightly, managing to get, I think, a more headed breeze over to the right of Quantum. May not be over yet. I think probably sled would have one more jibe to get into the finish line, but we shall see. And for sure our speed gun shows sled consistently quicker. Value to the right of platoon. Bigger delta between the two of them, between platoon and value, over 200 metres, so I don't think platoon should be too concerned. So is this the winning call from Francesco Bruni and Murray Jones? Andrea Vicentini, Italian navigator, seem to have sailed round the front of Quantum almost. Who would have thought then? Quantum were 15, 16 seconds ahead at the top turn. So Sled have jibed and are coming back at Quantum. That delta will drop for sure. But for all the world, looking like Sled are going to steal this race win. And Platoon actually going hard at Quantum. Both on starboard jibe. And indeed, Sled come through the finish line. Two boats behind, jibing in perfect stereo. Old adversaries, Vasco Vascotto and Terry Hutchison. And looking like Platoon get that. Quantum dropping to third, 26 seconds behind Sled. As I say, they led at the top mark by, I think it was 16 seconds. So what a finish. Who would have thought? Sled then taking the win, Platoon getting to second, and of course that puts a boat between Sled and Quantum Racing in the regatta standings. Sled couldn't really have wanted for more on that final run, considering the position they went round the top mark. So all credit to the Sled afterguard and of course owner-driver Takashi Akura. Hugely experienced owner-driver in his own right, very successful. And a great fourth then for Vayu. Allegra fight back to fifth, having been eighth at the top mark, so good work in the end from the new partnership at the back of Allegra, Nick Asher and Will Ryan. Phoenix Rescue a sixth, but they'll be disappointed with that. At this stage, I'm sure they're thinking more about the overall standings, moving towards the final podium in Barcelona. And I'm sure same too, focus for Quantum Racing is much more on the final title when they're in Barcelona than worrying too much about the small details of the podium here. So it's a swings and roundabouts for them. I think third there, but they've put 3 more points on Phoenix, considering they were tied coming into this race. Interlodge and Gladish are scrapping over 8th and 9th. Disappointing though for Provezza. Provezza 5th at the top mark, first time up, dropping to 7th. So Scarlino proving to be a very difficult venue to maintain consistency, to hold on to any measure of regularity. But Sled doing a good job now. Lead the Royal Cup. Platoon second place there, I say the best result for the German flag team, the double world champions, since the middle of the Puerto Portals regatta. So there you go, that's the points standings at the midpoint of the Royal Cup. Sled leading on 14 points. Quantum Racing now in second on 16 points. Allegra not far out of it in third on 19 points. 2 points up in Phoenix. Vayu in fifth, that fourth place elevating them to be ahead of Platoon, just on tie break, but 3 boats on 28 points now. 5th, 6th and 7th, Provezza in 7th. Interlodge 31 points. And Gladiator in 9th on 40 points. So that's race number 5. Join us for race 6 in a short period. Speak to you soon. So a minute and a half to the start of race number 6. The breeze has dropped on the Gulf of Follonica. We have 12 or 13 knots on the start line. And so different perspective. 13 knots indeed. The gusts up to 16 knots. Breeze is at 210, so south-southwest. You don't need to know the air temperature really, but 24 degrees Celsius is the water temperature, and that has been affecting the sea breeze build, but so slightly lighter than the previous race. So Sled on the top of the table by 2 points. It's going to be all on in this start. Interlodge repositioning to come up towards the committee boat end of the line. Otherwise it's a busy port end start by the looks of things. Allegra Quantum down towards the left side of the group along with Platoon. Platoon pushing a little bit harder perhaps. A little bit more confidence on board after that good second place. Phoenix in the middle of the line. They've got good space. Sled also in the mix down there. Final couple of seconds before the start. Provetza at the boat end of the line. Actually, by the looks of things, starting on port at the boat end of the line. That's a long time since we've seen that happen. Off the pin end of the line, Platoon start well with the most left-hand position. Quantum down there as well. Allegra in the mix on that left side. Remember, the breeze is fully 25-30 degrees to the right since the start of the first race. Phoenix solid there in fourth just now, off the line. So they have value below them, but not in a position to affect them in the meantime. Sled, the regatta leaders, 7th off the line, not as quick, not as good timing. So Harmüller Speer, the German flag team, leading off the start line. That is not a sentence that we've used yet here in Scarlino. But now's the time. Anyway, they have adversaries Quantum alongside them. Allegra really won't be able to live where they are just now for very long. So let's watch Provetza then. Provetza, as we said, started pretty much on port at the committee boat end of the line. That's the call of Colla Parada and tactician Hamish Pepper on Ergen Imre's team. Second in the first race yesterday. They've led a few times actually, but they led that race and finished second. So this race shaping up really interesting. Provetza and Gladiator first and second just now. Gladiator then crossing Privetza. This right side seems to be strong just now. Whether that will remain the case, wait and see. For sure, Platoon then still pushing out to the left. And who'd have thought then the team which won the first race, Sled, in 9th just now. So for me, still pretty even really across the course. Small advantage to the right for Gladiator, but you kind of feel that the left will come in progressively. Platoon, Vasco and Geordie choosing to go furthest out to the left along with Quantum. Phoenix a little bit more conservative and also didn't have that option really off the line. Platoon won the pin. Yeah, so that left side now strengthening. Yeah, for sure, a long way for Gladiator to come back from there. But let's watch. Not really coming back on the best of angles, really, Gladiator, as we can see at the moment. But so Gladiator, actually not a bad angle now. Look at them relative to Interlodge. And lifting actually Gladiator on that right side. On the opposite side, Platoon lifting slightly away from Quantum. Is that right? Still working out for Gladiator okay? Converging just now with Platoon. So when this breeze dropped, we've all the boats have changed to AP, all-purpose mainsails, rather than from the heavy mains. Lighter kites and bigger jibs are on. So at about 12, 13 knots of breeze on the start line. Gladiator still with more pressure on this right side. Look at the boat speeds. So something like 80 or so meters in it between Gladiator and Platoon. Gladiator on the quantum racing program. Switched to quantum sails this year. And I think we'll just probably get across Platoon, or choose to cross Platoon's line and tack. But there we go, 100 metres just now. Let's see whether the British flagged team can make this stick and deliver Tony Langley his second win of the season. And for sure that would mean Tony and his very good friend Jeff enjoying their gin and tonics after racing today. It'll be a pretty special day, but let's watch. Navigator on board, who we spoke about during the previous race, Bruno Zarelli. Navigator was with Azzurra for many years in terms of big picture, reading the breeze or predicting the breeze. Bruno knows this area as well as anyone. And of course, the tactician is Paul Goodison, who is very much at home in Italy, both literally, where he lives near Lake Garda and sails now with American Magic, so splitting his time between home and American Magic team based in Persicola. Phoenix getting into the mix nicely in third just now, coming out towards the starboard tatlay line and attacking to cover from Prevezza, converging with the main group. In terms of the event standings, then this would even the scores again between Quantum Racing and Sled. Quantum in third, Sled in sixth, 2 points between them. So don't you have this feeling that this circuit title is going to the wire? Potentially. Similar to last year. Last year there was just 3 points separated the top 3 boats. News from Fergal Finlay on the water on the Gladiator chase boat. He says, look who's made a surprise appearance at the front of the fleet. And long may it continue. Interesting as well, because certainly for me, Phoenix challenging Quantum. Nothing in it between the two of them. Phoenix would have the small advantage for me being to the right of Quantum. So Quantum pinned momentarily by Phoenix, I think. So top mark, first time up, race number 6, Gladiator, Tony Langley's team leading. They have Platoon on their weather hip, 3 boat lengths behind. Quantum and Phoenix will in fact. Phoenix tacking underneath Quantum. Quantum dropping to 4th because of that. Phoenix taking control, and that will be what Sled want to see. They're just behind there, just in 6th. So Gladiator round first. Second round will be Platoon. Phoenix in 3rd, Quantum 4th, Value 5th. Value shaping up to have a reasonable day. 4th I think in the first race. 5th at the moment. So, and 5th overall on the regatta standings. Sled coming round in 6th. They have some considerable work to do. So Gladiator then 9 or 10 seconds up on Platoon. Phoenix round in 3rd. Quantum and Gladiator going for the early jibe. What a great race though. Gladiator go for the early jibe along with Quantum. Platoon and Phoenix stay on to the right looking downwind. Square at the top of the table once again, 20 points each. Quantum in 4th, the Sled in 6th. Sled will be focused on getting through value. That big split, not too much in it between Platoon and Gladiator. Platoon though nearly 100 metres clear of Phoenix. So nonetheless, shaping up to be, I would say, certainly Platoon's best day since Cascais, if not even potentially their best day this season. Certainly in control of Gladiator. Gladiator drifting further to the left and appearing to be in a little bit of a lift momentarily. A battle between Quantum and Phoenix looking like it's hotting up. Nothing in it between the two of them. Phoenix out to the right, Quantum in 3rd just now. Remember, it's all about the differential between Quantum and Sled in terms of boats for the regatta standings. It's a real tactical run, this one. At the moment, Platoon getting it all right. Phoenix also going quite nicely, go well in the downwind to Phoenix. Just jibing to protect, trying to stay ahead of Quantum. Sled appear to be through Vayu. Look how the positions, look how the deltas have changed coming down this run. Platoon went round the top mark behind Gladiator. Gladiator down to third, 200 metres behind Platoon, and Phoenix were sixth at the top mark and up to second. But this run's not over yet. You're certainly early Bayona then, since Platoon had a sequence of a second and a first. So getting in towards the final approach to the leeward gate. Phoenix really have been the star performers of this downwind, to say, getting up from 6th to 2nd and keeping their regatta and their circuit title hopes alive. In so doing, getting through Quantum and Sled. Going to be even through this leeward gate between Phoenix and Quantum, I think, but Platoon running out quite comfortable. Leaders by 140, 150 metres. So there you go, leeward gate, Platoon leading. Phoenix will be round in second. Platoon, Phoenix. Third through will be Quantum. Quantum were fourth at the top mark. Sled coming through for fourth just now, so all good for them in terms of the chase for the regatta title. And of course the Royal Cup. Gladiator going on the left-hand mark, and very close between 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, all pretty much in a line coming through that Leeward Gate, Allegre, Interlodge, Prevezza, Vayu. So still the fleet splitting, 4 boats on the left, 4 boats on the right, 1 in the middle pretty much. Top 2 boats out on this right, Platoon and Phoenix. So what an interesting day then, things shaping up for the platoon team quite nicely after that big change. That said though, they are a long way back in the circuit standings. It'll be interesting to see how this afterguard develops, and I'm quite sure that Harmüller Spreer is not looking at this as a short-term solution. Bumpy first couple of days. It's so close between Phoenix and Gladiator. Gladiator out on that far left. Once again we see the majority on the left really. So Gladiator attacking now. Now should start to lift on port, you would imagine. Though Phoenix on the right looked to be quite high. So can Gladiator bank any kind of gain on that left side? If anything, actually, they seem to have just lost out. Are certainly behind Quantum, as they always were. To the left, strong just now for Allegra. Conversely, sled away out on that right side. So looking like a little bit of a split breeze, strong on the left, strong on the right. Sled certainly gaining on that right relative to the boats to their immediate left. Phoenix and Platoon closer, but again some of that's just the geometry of the race course compared to, or in relation to the windward mark. And the seesaw swings back then. Sled then fourth, Quantum fifth, certainly in contention with one another. This top mark rounding is going to be fascinating. The Platoon still holding off Phoenix. You'd have to consider with a 200 metre cushion between second and third, whoever that is, that the top two in this race, you would imagine, should be pretty much decided. Just your question of whether it's Platoon or Phoenix, and Platoon still have the upper hand, very much so. Platoon then, Harmruler Spear just tacking to cover Phoenix, as I'm quite sure they'll do to full effect between now and the finish line. Phoenix, one of the quickest boats in the fleet, upwind. And Sled, if nothing else, I think frustrating the hell out of Quantum. Just coming back from a fair bit behind and appearing to windward of them. Remember that finish of that previous race. Quantum dropping from the lead to third. So let's see how the fleet lines up coming round this top mark for sure. Platoon with the lead ahead of Phoenix. Phoenix third at the top mark, first time up to second. Sled come away third now. They were sixth at the top mark in the previous time, and they're once again they're ahead of Quantum. And this will maintain Sled's lead. At 2 points ahead at the top of the table going into this race. A momentary software glitch there. Clearly, but Platoon jibing early. Let's see if Phoenix carry on. So Sled were, say, 2 points ahead. They have Quantum Racing behind them, so we'll gain 1 more point for sure if positions stay the same. Line. Gladiator in 5th. This should see a platoon moving up the leaderboard, certainly into the at least 1 more place. They were tied on points with Vayu going into this race in 6th. But there were 7 points behind Phoenix, and Phoenix are 2nd, so looking like Sled are through Phoenix. A couple of 100 metres then between platoon and 2nd place. Quantum looking at 5th just now. Interlodge made a big gain down that left side, but still plenty can happen. Sled really are the never say die merchants, seem to be able to pull things out of the bag in the final stages of the runs. And for sure Murray Jones, the strategist on the sled, is the best in the business in terms of spotting the breeze, and gives a great relationship with Francesco Bruni. So, what do we make of that then? A big right-hander by the looks of things. Letting sled down very nicely. And again to interlodge around that left of the track. Potentially sailing round the bow of Quantum. Possibly value. Nothing in it between Sled and Phoenix really though. So this could well still go to the wire, considering Platoon were over or nearly 200 metres ahead at one stage. Going to be close to Phoenix, Sled and Platoon. Generally your money's on Platoon though, isn't it, on that? On that right side. Potentially a little bit more pressure on this left though. Sled pushing Phoenix quite hard. So the final jibe for Platoon in front of Phoenix. Not much in it, only 70 metres between first and third. Gladiator pressing hard to claim fourth. See the key takeaways of the day then. Platoon on track with a second and a first today. Holding a clear lead in the Royal Cup. Hanging in there for fourth, we think, but anyway, win for Platoon. Phoenix takes second and Sled are not far behind in third. Remember, Sled were sixth at the top, first time up, 3 place gains, and critically putting a boat between them and Quantum, extend their lead at the top of the Royal Cup table. Gladiator, the top mark, dropped to 5th on that second round, but come through for a 4th. Quantum then getting 5th, Value 6th, Interlodge 7th, Allegre 8th and Provezza in 9th. So for sure, as I say, in fact, Platoon's best day of the season. He had a 2 and a 1 between the first and second days in Bayona. And Sled extending their lead to 3 points as we pass the midpoint of the regatta of the Royal Cup. There you go, standings then. 17 points to Quantum